The best investments are the ones where we are the confident we're right and everyone else is wrong.
If you're not going to spend that money in the next 2 years, then really cash is not really necessarily the right investment.
Wealth is the money that you don't spend. It's money that you saved and invested that is going to give you independence.
If I want to become a millionaire, how long it will take and what will be the minimum amount that I should be investing?
Money is most powerful when it's lying in an asset class earning your return and you're not spending it.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears. I really believe in that.
What if I win a lottery tomorrow?
I've said in investing in the past that there's more than one way to get to heaven, and that there isn't a true religion in this, but there's some very useful religions.
So can I start investing for $100 from tomorrow?
If the robots are stealing your job, invest into the bloody things.
Welcome, Daniel. Welcome to Never Let Show by Anuvindh, aka NLSA podcast. I'm very thankful for you to be here, and we are here to learn a lot from you. You are one of the most famous financial advisor in New Zealand. So I thought, you are the right person to ask the questions for someone required for financial advisor.
Oh, it's very kind of you, Anu, and I'm very grateful to be asked to come. And you're doing an awesome job with this this chat show format. So good on you. I'm stoked to be here.
Thank you very much. Can you tell a bit about you? How did you start your financial journey?
Sure. Well, I'm 47 years old.
It doesn't say. Looks like you look on your early 30s.
Thank you. I'll come back. I've got 3 kids. I live in Auckland. So my wife and I lived abroad for 10 years, and her uncle effectively got in touch with us and said, do you want to come back to New Zealand? We were living in Boston, Massachusetts at the time. Come back and work for the family business, financial advice business. The business was started about 25 years ago. I was coming into that business about 10 years in. Little did I know that would turn into a buyout process. And we, not long after moving back to New Zealand, started to buy him out of the business. So now my wife and I, 15 years later, we own and run that business. I'm the sole advisor. It's how we want it to be. We're not here to take over the world. We just want to have a lean, mean machine, good, strong client relationships, and good product provider relationships, if that's the right term for it as well. And also a good network, and just marrying all those things together. So we're pretty proud of what we've been able to achieve in that time. We've taken that business, which we had maybe somewhere between 5 to 8 million of client funds under management. We've now grown that to over 70 million client funds now. So I'm pretty proud of that. So I was very, very fortunate to fall into this business in this particular company, because I don't know really many who do what we do.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's good to see that such a good portfolio you bought in 7 to 70. It's a big 10x growth that you made. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. How does your day-to-day life look like, as a financial advisor? What do you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so that does change from day to day. It can be anything from talking a client off a cliff because the markets aren't doing too well at the moment. And that's normal. And that's our client base. They're not necessarily seasoned investors. They hopefully become seasoned investors after time, but so, we're there to talk with clients if they have nerves in the market, or a lot of, probably most of my day on a day-to-day basis is spent in the residential investment property space.
Okay.
Whilst we do have quite a large client funds under management side of the business,
okay,
and a fairly decent mortgage side of our business as well, I probably spend most of my time researching, recommending, talking to builders, developers, just constantly keeping my finger in the pies of what's going on all around New Zealand to make sure we're able to give the best opportunities to our clients, depending on what their borrowing situation is.
Okay.
So my day is extremely varied, but probably I spend most of it on the residential investment property side of things.
So you advise for so if I want to buy a home, you give me advice on what will be the right amount I should be using to buy a home?
not so much a home,
Yeah.
although we have
When I
helped
say residential,
Yeah. So we have helped people into their homes, by the way, to get their own place to raise their family.
Yeah.
So we help people with their mortgage structures,
okay,
how much they can borrow, and then finding the right property fit for their particular financial circumstances and their goals and their borrowing capacity. So yes, I'm doing that a lot with people, is helping them into the right investment property.
let's say I don't know anything about financial world. So seriously, I don't know anything about financial world.
Okay.
So I just need to know how I can start small and start investing.
Yeah.
And make sure, I have smartly invested. So can you give me some best ways to start investing? And
Sure.
some strategies.
Definitely. And you're right. Ray Dalio, famous world-renowned fund manager, he said cash is trash. And you're right. If you're not going to spend that money in the next 2 years, then really cash is not really necessarily the right investment. So there's a couple of ways to answer what you've just said, right? My predominant methodology there for anybody is, why are you investing? And that should be the first question that someone would ask, right?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? Is it to buy a car next year? Is it for your retirement? Is it for a 15-year wealth creation journey? Why are you investing? Because that would initially color which direction you're going to go in for investing, right? And there's no, with what we do with clients, there's no minimums, maximums. There used to be sort of restrictions on what we were doing with clients in that respect, but there's been a huge tide change in our industry in that respect. Well, I think there has anyway, in terms of how we work with clients anyway. You could put $5 a week into something if you wanted to. But I do think it's important that a client understands the why piece. And I know the whole why thing has been kind of a buzzword for the past decade or so. Start with why. But it is true. Why are you investing? And when you know that, then you would know how to structure the right products around you. Most of our clients are investing for long-term wealth creation reasons and strategies. So we'd be wanting to put them into something that is helping to grow their wealth over the long term, so that they're getting themselves into a position down the track, which is the end game, really, if you think about it. And that's pretty much why we do what we do, is helping people to get to a place in their life where they're financially independent. So that, to me, is usually the ideal end game for people. So where do we start? Well, we start with, what does that look like? When do you realistically want to be financially independent? Because you'd probably say tomorrow.
Can I ask you one thing? Like when you say financially independent, right?
Yeah.
What does that figure look like?
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
So that's different for everybody. However, I can give you averages, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, and this is very interesting, because when we do this exercise with clients, usually the number will sit somewhere usually between about $1.5 to $3 million. Usually, about 1.5 to 3 mil is enough that using the assumptions that we use to fund the rest of their life.
Okay.
So, well, for most of our clients, when we sit them down and say, realistically, what kind of income do you think you're going to need in retirement? If we say there's no kids running around to pay for, there's no debt to worry about, what kind of income do you think you'd need? And they give us a figure. And I guess the average that most people would give us is probably between $80,000 to $120,000 usually. That's probably the average. And then, what age do you realistically see yourself being at where you will be retired? Well, or financially independent? Not necessarily that you're stopping work. You can choose to keep working if you want to. And I say realistically because most people will say tomorrow, right? They want to stop tomorrow. So, again, that average is, that's anywhere usually from 55 to 65, 50 to 65, something like that, depending on the client's age. But we can achieve a lot in a 10-year period, by the way. So where do we start? What do we do? Well, it really comes down to, why are you investing? If you came to me and said, Daniel, my wife and I want to buy a car next year and we need to pull all the money out, or we're buying our first home next year That's a different story or strategy or conversation to, hey, Daniel, we want to retire in 30 years and we need to live off 100 grand for the rest of our life per annum for the rest of our life. But if we're just talking, a lot of people put a lot of focus on the now. I want to have fun now. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to be able to go and buy that steak or that coffee if I want to, whatever, or that swimming pool or that trip overseas. They're not thinking about the future version of themselves. It's funny because people will look to the future and see a version of themselves that is sorted, is where it should be. But then most people promptly do nothing about it. So when they get there, it's actually nothing like they imagined it would be.
Yeah.
So we've really got to try to get people to take a trip forward in time to say, do I want to be on the bones of my backside, struggling, working on into my 70s and 80s maybe, packing shelves at the Pack and Save or whatever, or do I want to make a little few palatable changes now and be sorted for my future financially so that I'm not a burden on the government or an employer or whoever or my children for my income.
I think it's all comes account into planning how you want to be.
That's right.
And if you're making 100,000 today or 60,000 today, in next 10 years, that 60,000 will be nothing, right? The inflation takes into factor.
That's right.
So and I think that's what it realized, or one thing which I realized from last couple of years.
That's right. Exactly why I said cash is trash. You are going backwards. Even though it doesn't look like you are, because of inflation, you are. So you need to be in investments if you're trying to grow your wealth to fund your retirement or for some wealth creation reason. You need to be in a growth strategy to do that. An income type strategy like cash, for example, or even bonds. You may be treading water or going backwards.
About that, someone like me or someone like our audience or anyone who want to start investing, what kind of investment they should be looking either? Can be shares or bonds or crypto? I know you are like really a good advocate for crypto market. But it's highly volatile market, right? And people have to have their own due diligence to do when they're investing.
And very thick-skinned.
Very thick.
Yeah.
So can you suggest us some, like, as a starting point, what should we be considering on what are the entry point?
I am a big believer in an age-based approach to structuring your investment portfolios. The younger you are, the more growth-oriented strategy you could have. That's why I said to you, we talk about the whole risk thing. It's not just about a client's risk profile. It's also about their risk capacity. How much risk can they actually be taking on, right? For a younger person, really we're talking mostly about time here when we talk about risk. So if we've got time, we can ride out those more roller coaster type vehicles, like your shares, your crypto, sometimes property, and we do well over time. So where do we start? Well, a good starting point for anybody, unless maybe you're under 18, maybe not. That's a debatable topic. I'm a big fan of very much taking an age-based approach to that. Age and goal-based approach.
What do you mean with age-based approach? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So so it's not hard to understand. The younger you are, the more growth oriented strategy you can have, because you can take on more risk when you're younger.
Now I got it.
Now, when people hear that term, you can take on more risk, some people think that means I'm dialing up the chances of flushing my money down the toilet. That's not what we're talking about. What we're dialing up is the growth component in your strategy. Now, does that mean that at certain points throughout your journey, it's going to be a white knuckle roller coaster ride? Yes, it definitely means that. The more growth oriented strategy you have, the more of a white knuckle ride it's going to be. However, that needs to trend upwards over time. And it does trend upwards over time. So it's just about having the right education or even relationships, with someone like a financial advisor who you can contact or who okay, I knew that there would be dips. I knew sometimes there would be violent dips, but I'm staying the course. Now, if you're anywhere in any way, shape or form involved in crypto, and you've been so for a while, which I have been since 2017, you really know what dips are like. And you live through them, and they're as hard for us as they are for anyone else, but you stay the course. So when I say age-based approach, it's just really the younger you are, the more of a growth-oriented strategy you can have because you've got time to ride those markets out. So that's what I mean by that. But just to sort of go back a second, everything that you mentioned in terms of what we call asset classes, right? Again, this is just terminology, but it's not hard to understand. Asset classes. So asset classes are things like cash, bonds, commodity, crypto, property, shares, whatever. That's a class of assets, right? We want to have all of the above in your portfolio, if at all possible.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you this. As crypto is very much trending now, everyone want to invest in crypto. What kind of due diligence they should be taking when they want to invest in any crypto? There are so many meme coins out there.
Yeah.
There are like so many people just pump and dumping coins.
Yeah.
So how can someone choose or make sure which is the right coin to make use of?
I think if you're going to go into the world of crypto, unless you spend a lot of time doing your research, see, the portfolios we work with, they have crypto in them already. Okay, and there is a well thought out, well researched a team of analysts that have put those portfolios together. So what the crypto that's included in those portfolios has been well researched, right? That's how we would normally be recommending having crypto in your portfolio to any particular client, right?
Okay.
Now, if you said, well, but I want to start building my own crypto portfolio, well, I think if you're starting down that track, so I don't go anywhere near meme coins, for example. It's not my space. I really am very boring when it comes to crypto. I'm in a handful, and I'm in the big names.
Can you name few?
Well, if your Bitcoins, Ethereum, although I pretty much got out of my Ethereum, Ethereum, Solana. Those are the big names, right?
Okay.
You can very easily Google the top 100, top 1,000 cryptocurrencies, right?
Yep.
The further you go down that list, the higher risk it's going to become for you, okay? And every chance that it'll be worth nothing in the coming years. And I think that's the way that things are going to go. We're going to have a very small number of key core
Do you believe that?
crypto. Yeah, I do. In terms of ones that have been able to stand the test of time. I do believe that over time. Look, I might be wrong, and as time goes on and as crypto becomes more popular, maybe we will just continue to have these coins pumped out. If you're going to dip your toe in the water of crypto, be prepared for the volatility. And like I said before about time,
is it like always play the long
it's a long game.
Always.
Yeah, and be prepared to see huge percentages wiped off at any
point of time.
Yeah, if you are prepared for that and are prepared to not jump out, and if anything, maybe buy more while it's down. If you're in the big names. So there are ways to do this in a more secure, tax-effective way, but sometimes people, they want to self-custody their own crypto. And look, if they have the nous, which I don't think I do, to be honest. I don't go and research every crypto. I'm in the big names, and I feel comfortable there, and they're good performers over time, and that's where I'd stay. I don't get involved in advising clients on particular cryptos. Can help them in terms of funds under management. But if a client wants to, I say this all the time, if a client wants to have their own side sort of hobby portfolio, that's fine, they can. Whether that's shares, crypto, fill your boots. But maybe it's a side project or a side hobby thing, which doesn't maybe impact your long-term retirement planning strategy.
What are some best ways to invest and make sure that investment are tax efficient?
So yeah, like I was saying, there are portfolios that we put our clients into, and since this particular fund was released, it's had a huge uptake for our client base.
Okay.
So it's very easy to set that up for our clients. We're doing it all the time. It's not locked in. You're across all asset classes. There's no minimums or maximums. You can invest as little or as much, however often you like, and you can take out as little or as much, however often you like. The main thing that I need to make sure clients understand is if they are investing into a portfolio that's heavily growth oriented, it's going to be volatile. So they might put in $1,000 or $500 or $50 or whatever, and the next day it's gone down. So don't put it in there if next week you're using it to buy a car. If they know it's a longer term wealth creation vehicle, then it's the right place. But if not, then we can talk about other strategies. But that kind of product, for want of a better term, is something that we do with a lot of our clients, and there's no rules around it. You manage it yourself, and I think one of the things we were going to talk about is technology. The app that runs it is very user friendly, and you're in charge in your phone. Money in, money out, just like a bank account kind of thing. So very easy to set up and very easy to administer for the client.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very user friendly. Yeah.
So can I start investing for $100 from tomorrow?
Yep. Easy.
So let's say I'm investing $100 for next 5 years.
Yep.
Every week I'm investing $100, which is $400 a month. Next 5 years, how can I grow it, and what's the best portfolios I should be choosing to invest?
If you look at the world's share markets, they sort of average around about sort of 10 to 12% per annum, So that's the kind of returns we'd probably be expecting from a high growth type vehicle, right? So those are the kinds of, in the type of product that we're talking about here, that's a sort of indicative long-term per annum return that you would be expecting.
Does it have more risk? Or if I, like, as you mentioned, if I'm investing that on the crypto, it's more risk factor is more there, but returns are can be expected a bit more than compared to other.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So it's not, if you're going into the crypto game, yes, there's higher risk, but higher return.
Okay.
Funds really are mostly going to be made up of shares. The portfolio we recommend does actually have crypto in it, a very small amount, but if and it's not that crypto has to be in there. It's just whether the fund managers think that it's appropriate at any given moment to have that asset in there, then it will be in there. And at the moment, it is appropriate because the crypto market it's in a bull run market at the moment, albeit volatile, and we'll probably be in this bull run for probably about another year. Probably again, no one has a crystal ball. And there are new theories that we're going to be in a longer cycle now.
Okay.
So we shall see, because 2025 is going to be a very, very interesting year.
Because of the US election?
Yeah, especially in relation to crypto.
All right.
Or especially in relation to Bitcoin.
Okay.
But if Bitcoin runs, then eventually that flows through to the other cryptos.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What if I win a lottery tomorrow? What is the 3 major steps I should be taking to make sure I won't spend my money? Without, like, when I say spend my money, like, for stupid things.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. So I don't know how true this statistic is, but they say that apparently most people who win the lottery are broke within 4 years. Apparently,
Yeah.
whether that's true or not, I think it's quite believable.
Yeah.
Because most people are used to not having money, so when they get it, it's foreign and they just flitter it away on stupid things. So 3 things. I haven't thought about 3 things. I guess the first thing would be don't tell anybody. If you did happen to be a lotto winner or lottery winner, don't tell anybody. I think the second would be to speak to a financial advisor, and then also maybe speak to a lawyer as well about protecting yourself.
Okay.
But look, not to poo-poo buying the toys and things. If you've got a strategy in place, then maybe the toys would have their place. It depends what you've won. But I think speaking to a financial advisor, the Lottery Commission don't have financial advisors attached to them.
Yeah.
But I do think it's vital that if you were to come into a lot of money, however you came into that money, that you'd speak to a financial advisor, because most people spend their money on depreciating assets or toys.
Can I conclude like first thing, don't tell anyone, get a financial advisor, lawyer up,
And have a plan.
have a plan. Okay.
Yeah, have a strategy.
Still, I'm not sure this is the right investment for me.
There's no minimums or maximums. You can invest as little or as much, however often you like, and you can take out as little or as much.
What are some common misconceptions about investing?
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
How can we define short-term financial goals and long-term financial goals, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, actually.
If I want to become a millionaire, how long it will take and what will be the minimum amount that I should be investing?
Why are you investing?